people, film won't deliver some kind of, they have to look for asset building outside of the film industry. But I'm curious, you jumped in here.
Well, I think it's one of those things where, as a community, we have a tendency to talk more easily about investors and millions of dollars and things like this because it's more comfortable. And when you drill down on that, it feels sexy. Like, oh, if somebody's got a $3 million, $5 million movie, they're getting paid, and we all assume that. And then the truth is, you unpack it a little bit, and nobody's getting paid. That's at the core center of it, or they're getting paid very little. They're doing 3-5 years of work on a film, you know, if they're very lucky too. But for the most part, 3 to 5 on a feature, either a documentary or a narrative, and they're getting paid a set amount of money for this very piece of production, and it's a part and parcel of what it takes to get it made. I think it's important to go into this actually looking at your life and saying, okay, I have this thing that I love, it's awesome, it's an amazingly gratifying thing to do, and it's going to lose me money.
With myself and we're not paid extremely well. I mean, but what we do is we make an agreement with one another that this is what we need to be paid in this film. And, you know, it's not a year's wage. It's enough to make maybe, I mean, the director, it's looking at, okay, here's the amount of time that we're going to need to spend working on this. The bottom line for us is there's some baseline here for how do we afford our lives while we're making this movie. And that becomes the standard for, you know, I mean, you can set that standard, and ultimately, are people going to disagree with your need to get paid? I mean, the issue is, I mean,
they
when you're
don't
going
disagree,
into,
but they can undercapitalize. I mean,
they can undercapitalize, but you're ultimately making the choice to structure your budget, and you have to be on the same page in terms of the necessity for you to be able to live in order to accomplish the creative vision of the film, and be honest with each other about the importance of your roles and your dependency on one another with the director and the producers. And that conversation can be very difficult to have.
We're also seeing a lot of filmmakers, Joe Swanberg, another one, people not living in major real estate contested cities, making the movies that they want to make because their cost of living is lower and they're able to take risks. And I just would make one plug, which is to me one of the great and most important tragedies of the current marketplace, is that it seems to me that it takes people with individual means to make, you know, people who are slightly wealthy or have access to wealth to make films. And what it means for the cultural patrimony of our nation is that there's an entire section of people whose stories need to be told if we're going to tell the American story, who cannot afford to tell that story. It's the individuals who can articulate a moment in time of our American experience that is electrifying to us, that reflects back to us what that is going to be the films that matter. And those of you in the audience that are wondering about spending that risk capital, that's the place to put your cash.